Do we have a committee to do this, or do we have full board to do this?
No, the board is, there's 30 days in between, or you hold a meeting.
Between special meetings, we've talked about in the past, boards have working meetings if they need to. But, I mean, I'm okay with the communication committee getting created, again, but, you know, I think we need to realize, though, that communication committee is going to be reviewing communications that are going to go out, and those who don't serve on that committee may have a different opinion as to how that communication should have been crafted and what should not have been included. But if we're going to put our trust in the communication committee, then we have to
Something
support
you have to
them.
accept. Well, that's a protocol too.
So the committee's in our own.
I mean, I would hope we would give the committee some direction.
What's it
But
take?
Can't always.
ultimately, we
Can't
have to,
always.
right, yeah.
What's it take to establish a communication board meeting once a month? Okay, that's my first, I have a number of questions,
Like
so
a
just
committee of the
address,
whole meeting?
just address the question at hand. Committee of the whole board, once a month for communication on every first Wednesday. This is every third Wednesday and every first Wednesday. What would it take to actually make that happen?
We just
While you're
put it
thinking
out
of
there,
this.
right? All we have to do is publicize it.
Okay, and how much in advance?
48 hours.
48 hours? Okay, so what's the 30-day thing that we're referencing right now?
If we don't have that meeting, then it's 30 days between meetings.
Correct.
for a
It's
board
on-
to be able to
The next
review
meeting
it.
is a month away,
Yeah.
when the board meets as a whole.
If
meet
we
once
meet
a
on the
month.
first, if we meet on the first,
Then
We're saying barring
prior to
that, as it is
Right,
now, we meet
correct.
once a month.
correct, okay,
So
that's
if
our.
we didn't have a committee of the whole meeting set up.
Right, so
it's
what if
gonna
we
be
had
another
a
30 days.
special communication meeting, we actually publicized that it's first Wednesday of every month, and it's out there, it's standing, but if we don't need it, we cancel it.
I think that's fine.
It
Kinda
eliminates
tackle
your, it
something
eliminates
like
your
this
concern
before.
of, well, if there's only two people, they get blamed for everything. And it addresses what Leandra said about, well, you either have to trust that they're gonna run with the whole ball of wax or they're not. And it addresses my concern of, but I'm not talking about just communication coming from the board, we have an awful lot of school items. You know, we're saying that these are the Board of Education goals, there's an awful lot of school items that are coming out in the next month, but we haven't participated in any of the communication that's going on.
You know, because unlike the other, like the finance committee, it does work, it brings a recommendation to the board. You know, I mean, Mark and I are the policy, you know,
Right.
committee, if you want to,
Right.
we do work, we bring it to the board.
Right.
Communication, the timeliness of it usually doesn't warrant it coming back to the board. It just goes out. So,
Because the majority of that communication has been board communication. What I'm referring to is things that we get dinged for that are not necessarily just board communication, like, you know, I mean, just for the sake of argument, a whole Marzano conversation, you know what I mean? We should be part of that conversation, because we're the ones that are gonna get dinged if it goes well or doesn't go well. That's what I'm addressing.
If we did look to schedule a committee of the whole, years ago, we tried doing this, but then we said, well, we're not gonna schedule a meeting just for the sake of having a meeting. I mean, it needs clear, concise directions, you know,
This
stated
year,
agenda, stick to the agenda.
this year we got a ton of new stuff coming.
Yeah, oh, I agree. I'm
So
not,
there's
and I'm not saying I'm for
There's
against.
plenty to
I'm just
make an
saying,
agenda about.
if we go this route, I want to make sure that we are amply prepared and we are very specific. We create an agenda with specific items and we stick to it. We don't just use it as a kind of free-for-all night to just bring up everything under the sun. I mean, it's gotta be, you know,
Excuse me.
directly tied into protocol, directly
Right.
tied into protocol and our goals and,
You've got the whole, before school start, what's happening this year?
I'm not saying we're
You've got-
not.
No, I'm just
if we
saying,
do-
I'm saying that we can account for the first 4 months. For the next 4 months, we can certainly fill those Wednesdays.
Except for maybe, we kind of need to wait till after the curriculum council.
Do we? the week, because last
Other
I looked, it
recommendations?
goes curriculum council, core team, superintendent, I'm sorry, Board of Education, core team, superintendent, curriculum council.
Understood, but with the
So are we
communication
gonna
that we're
wait for
talking
this to
about
come
now.
up, or are we gonna go down and say, here's our recommendations?
Oh, good point. We can just tell them what we want, okay.
That's my point.
Except I can't do August 3rd.
I'm certainly not suggesting it has to be the first Wednesday, I'm just
Okay.
saying that we've got, I just said, what would it
just said
take?
that.
I just said, what would it take?
No, I
I'm
think
just
it's a great
saying,
idea.
we've got, we're sitting there debating goal number 4, and we've got an awful lot of communication happening in goals 1 and 2.
I think it's a really good idea.
I would be more inclined to maybe try it 1 month instead of saying, you know, next 4 months, let's plan all this out, try one, see how it goes.
See, it's easier if it's on my calendar ahead of time, if I know.
Right, and then just cancel it if you don't need it,
Exactly.
to me.
Or
What
maybe-
about every month, just starting our board meetings at 6 and have 6 to 7, a special meeting for communication, and then
Because
start.
then we're in the 30 days.
30 days, we're defeating the whole, we don't want the 30 days.
Oh, I see.
If I had to, like, yeah, then we're meeting.
Yeah.
See,
Right.
if something happens on the
Bi-monthly,
first, and we
right.
need to continue it,
Right, I
we
see,
can
yeah.
talk about it 2 weeks later,
Right.
because we just
Okay.
get it added to the agenda.
Just trying to consult.
So, Mark,
Just-
in terms of, you know, day-to-day operations, because a lot of these communications are gonna be authored from administrative personnel. Do you see that as being something workable?
I'm not quite clear on what you know, those meetings would, I mean, what's the intent? To filter communication coming from, that typically would come from the building, but through the board?
If we weren't implementing new programs, then I'd probably say, yeah, I would agree 100%. But because we've got a lot of new things going on, I would say, yeah, I think the board should be involved. Because the board is the one that hears about it when it goes wrong, if it goes wrong.
That's certainly up to the board.
So that's my recommendation on the table, is up to
I would like to
a
second
straw vote to go around and see if it holds merit.
Providing there were clear and concise agenda items. I would be on
When's our next board meeting? August?
17, 2 days after the.
And then it's basically 5 weeks until the next board meeting, is the way it falls. The next one won't be till September 21st. So you've got 5 Wednesdays in between.
And I may not be able to make August.
Regular
17th.
meeting?
The 17th.
Oh, 17. Yeah, regular meeting.
And you're on the 17th too? I'm out on vacation. Well,
And again, we don't have to have a full board, as long as we have a
Right.
quorum.
but we're talking about advancing the timeline to the curriculum council. Right? So
Which meets on the 15th, which means we'd have to be.
could anyone do the 10th, the second Wednesday in August?
Wouldn't it make more sense to get the feedback from the teachers and have that? I mean, really what we're looking at there is just, you know, practical issues that they'll come up with that
I
would be
would
good
be-
feedback for the board to have before
I would-
finalizing it.
Be worried time-wise if we relied on them to start the whole, you know, to create the template. I would be more in tune to having something to start from. Almost like a template and then have them tweak it as opposed to have them creating the whole document.
Yeah, well, given our
Just because
discussion
of the timeframe.
in 1 and 2, that, you know, we're going to create this calendar, the specific activities or communication activities listed, and the board will get that as part of the August 17th board packet. Now, the curriculum council meets on the 15th, and they will review it, and I'll bring whatever comments they have to the 17th meeting.
Would we then be willing or able to, you know, when would we feasibly be able to have the letter sent to parents?
Well, you have to remember that you know, they've already gotten a heads up in May. I'm sending out my usual